Be wannabe DM, continuing with frozen Cold War setting that is a bit too close to Icewind Dale. Trying to build it out to be something interesting and lifelike. Building out the cultures and the competing islands. Building out cultures on the main continents that are supporting these competing islands. Cold War for Volcanic Lake continues. Decide to make Icelanders a blend of Celtic and Sami cultures. Large numbers of Sami survived similar to Inuits by making use of marine resources. This contact of an Arctic culture with a culture in a much more temperate zone gives access to wooden boat building, possible to construct longships now. Aesthetics of the culture looking like the Roman vision of the Celts, with gear that is a mix of Iron Age Celts and Proto-Iron Sami Nordic. Iron is scarce in this world, and so the majority of weapons are either stone, copper, or bronze. Bone-forged iron, Ulfbert swords, is incredibly rare and valuable and treated as quasi-magic in this world. These people are called the Godi, word for wild reindeer in northern Sami. Their religion is a form of quasi-monotheism with the Celtic god Flu at the head of the pantheon. Many minor gods act more like saints or possibly aspects of the deity Flu. Offerings often made to magical creatures to avoid problems like livestock death, stillbirth. Many bowls of cream are left out to appease the Fae. Furbolgs integrated into Godi society. Furbolgs, Fae creatures adding onto the semi-Celtic vibe. Rain-swept shores on the island host to a fusion culture made by the old gods of the continent and those for even further north, those who lived on sea ice, oceanic marine subsistence. As for the advent of this culture, taking to the sea and engaging in conquest, the Godi have come to pray to the cult of the Kraken, as giant squids have been seen more often. Common for fathomless warlocks to be a thing among them. Usually at least one among the groups of 15 or so fighters that go raiding or forcing their way onto not Greenland are fathomless. Potential deal with a kraken as a weapon of war? Most fighters are between level 1 and level 3. Some hero units can approach levels between 15 and 18, particularly Rune Knight fighters. Giant magic fits in really well with Viking Celtic aesthetic. Would love to watch a fight between Rune Knight fighter and Frost Giant. Because iron is so rare, most of these fighters are using bronze weapons that are still quite valuable. This increased value of iron makes slings on the subsequent use of stone much more common. Artificers introduce specialized projectiles, essentially Greek fire, for even larger staff slings and siege engines. Now, Viking-ish longships/war canoes that can shoot Greek fireballs. Now, suicide leather canoes can be sent into ship formations or to the docks to burn enemy infrastructure. Friends seem to like the vibe and not just pulling Vikings out of my ass. We'll continue building this civilization out. The Not Haida Gwaii Island is host to mostly copper-using culture, sometimes able to get a hold of drift iron from sunken ships. Efforts made to reverse engineer it. Progress being made, but no success yet. Iron used to make the edges of wooden weapons. Not Haida Gwaii warriors wearing wooden armor over everything but their eyes does a lot to balance out offensive advantage of mostly bronze and iron weapons, hopefully. Commonly travel in bands of roughly 15 in war canoes. Term canoe is somewhat misleading. If it's a canoe, it should have 3 people, not 15. Often have bone clubs in addition to their copper and drift iron weapons, made from bones of mammoths or humpback whales. Culturally is a mix of Haida, Tlingit, and Haudenosaunee Iroquois. Mostly democratic confederacy like the Haudenosaunee. Relies on matrilineal system of clans like Tlingit. Raven and wolf are by far the most common. Incredibly seafaring culture and often raiders like Haida. Decide to call this cultural group the people of Y'all. One of the primary entities is the Raven, and their religious officials are trickery domain clerics for the worshipping of the Raven. Y'all often appears as a Loki-like trickster archetype in their stories. Scary-looking guys covered in raven feathers and carved masks. Most devoted clerics are capable of becoming Kenku-like creatures, but with flight and telepathic speech. Of course can still imitate sounds for trickster purposes. Their ocean deity is the Orca, and their fathomless warlocks often draw power from the unified spirit of the Orca and the ocean. Not sure if it makes more sense for druids or warlocks to be interacting with the Orcas. They are real animals in D&D. Druid wild shape into Orca to act as landing craft on not Greenland or attack rival ships sounds potentially badass. Decide to try to design mechanics for ship-to-ship battles between the people of Y'all War Canoe versus the Goaty longboats. Unearthed Arcana offers a few options. Try to design mechanics for sieges on docks and coastal forts. Make modifications for specifically mobile forts for both civilizations building camps around the lake. You know, since it sometimes boils over. See actual historical example called Gulye Gorod, Wandering Town in Russian. 16th century Russian fortification setup. Add to the game. Look for any sort of D&D fort rules and make some mods. Read on D&D forums that these are easy mechanics to fail at and make the game tedious and uninteresting. It's a process. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed the continuation of that story. If you did, let me know in the comments section below, and I look forward to hearing what you got to say. Thanks. Bye.